The world of self-help. It's huge, right? It's this massive, booming industry, and if you've ever felt kind of overwhelmed by it all, you are definitely not alone. So today, we're going to cut through some of that noise and break down one really popular blueprint for self-improvement. We'll get into what makes it so compelling, where its limits might be, and most importantly, how you can build a personal toolkit for change that actually works for you. It all starts with a number, 30,000. According to life coach Mike Bayer, that's roughly how many decisions we each make every single day. Seriously, from what to wear to how to respond to that tricky email, it's just this constant stream of choices. It's really no wonder we all hit a wall of decision fatigue sometimes. So, if our lives are basically built on those 30,000 daily choices, the big question becomes pretty personal. How do we start making better ones? How can we find a clear path forward when we're just buried in options? This is the exact problem that so many self-help systems promise they can solve. And this quest for better, it isn't just about trying to feel good. It's about finding a concrete method to manage all those choices. It's about figuring out how to create real personal change, one single decision at a time. This right here is the core philosophy of Coach Mike Bayer, and its power is really in its simplicity. The idea is that you don't need some massive, life-altering event to change your direction. Nope. Real, meaningful change can start with the very next choice you make, no matter how small it might seem. So, okay, how do you make that one decision? Well, Bayer's system is built around a pretty fascinating psychological tool. What if you personified the different parts of your own personality? And that leads us to his core concept, the idea that you need to meet your two selves. At the very heart of his method is this dualistic model. So on one side, you've got your best self. That's who you are when you feel totally authentic. You're in the zone. You're at your best. It's all your most positive traits rolled into one. And then, on the other side, there's the anti-self. Now, this isn't some evil twin you have to fight. Think of it more like the personification of all the habits and negative thoughts that just get in your own way. To make these selves feel real and tangible, Bayer suggests creating avatars for them. And his own example really shows you just how personal this can get. He doesn't just think of his best self as some vague concept. He pictures a specific character, a wizard named Merlin. By making this character so real, he even tattooed him on his arm, it becomes this powerful, constant reminder of who he's striving to be. And this is where that internal dialogue becomes a literal cast of characters. For his best self, he's got Merlin the wizard, wise, connected, all that good stuff. For his anti-self, he came up with Angelos, a character he describes as someone who complains and is impatient. See, the simple act of giving these forces names and traits makes it so much easier to identify which one is driving the car at any given moment. But these avatars aren't just some fun thought exercise. They are the actual foundation of a really structured system Bayer designed to evaluate and improve pretty much every single area of life. A true blueprint for change. And that blueprint is organized around this one acronym, SPHERES. It stands for social, personal, health, education, relationships, employment, and spiritual development. The idea is to take a full inventory of your life. In each of these 7 areas, you just ask yourself a simple question. Is my best self showing up here, or is my anti-self kind of in control? After you've evaluated each sphere, the action plan is incredibly simple. For each of the 7 areas, you decide what you're going to continue doing because it's working, what you're going to stop doing because it's holding you back, and what you're going to start doing to get closer to your goals. It's a really clear, repeatable framework for making progress. A clear, actionable system. Sounds perfect, right? But is it? Like with any self-help method, it's so important to look at the potential pitfalls. So now we're going to pivot a little and explore a more critical perspective on this entire approach. Writer and critic Mark Manson points out this huge paradox that's really at the heart of the entire self-help industry. He argues that if you're constantly trying to fix yourself, you're already starting from a place of not accepting yourself. And without that foundational self-acceptance, no system, no blueprint is ever going to make you feel good enough. It's a real catch-22. And this can lead to what Manson calls reinforcing inferiority. The more you focus on what's wrong with you, the more you analyze your anti-self, for example, the more you might accidentally ingrain this belief that you are fundamentally flawed. It can become this cycle, where the very act of trying to improve yourself just deepens your sense of not being good enough. And this critique from a Goodreads reviewer really nails the system itself. For some people, a super structured approach like the spheres model can just feel totally overwhelming. The idea of breaking your life down into action plans can start to feel less like authentic living and, well, more like managing a corporate project. So, where does that leave us? We've got a structured method on one hand and some very valid critiques on the other. The answer isn't to pick a side, it's to build your own personal toolkit. Perhaps the true value of any self-help system isn't really in following it perfectly. The real value comes from using the exercises, like identifying a best self or analyzing your spheres, to just build that muscle of self-awareness. In the end, the system isn't the goal. The introspection it makes you do is. And this means we can reframe this whole approach. So instead of a rigid blueprint, we can treat these ideas like a flexible toolkit. We can look at systems like Bayer's as creative tools, not strict rules. That best self-avatar, it becomes a powerful technique for self-reflection. Ultimately, you are the expert on what works for you, and the goal is just to become the driver of your own change, using whatever tools help you see the road more clearly. And so we end right back where we began, with a single decision. If you forget the systems, the avatars, and the spreadsheets for just a moment, the question is simple. What's one choice you can make right now that feels truly authentic? What moves you one small step closer to the person you really want to be? That's a question that only you can answer.